everyone, and welcome to the Adult Amateurs Masterclass. My name is Virginia Shingleton, and I'm a volunteer with the National Flute Association. If this is your first time attending an NFA event, then I would like to personally welcome you to this flute community. The NFA was founded in 1972 and has since grown to become one of the world's largest flute organizations, with members from all 50 states and countries across the globe. We invite you to visit our website, nfaonline.org, and learn more about us and how you can get involved. We'd also like to acknowledge that today's online event is made possible with support from our members, our donors, and the Illinois Arts Council Agency. Thank you, and now I will hand it over to Jennifer Clark.
Thank you, Virginia. Hi, everyone. I'm Jenny Clark, the Executive Director of the NFA. I'm really glad to be with you this afternoon. Christina Condon, who is the coordinator of the Adult Amateur Competition, couldn't be with us today due to illness, so I'm very glad to be here with you all, and we'll be following Christina's plan for the day and work through the session. So first of all, I'd like to welcome David Houston, who is our master teacher for today. Hi, David. And to our three 2024 winners, Sadie Hewitt in the novice category, John Nguyen in intermediate, and Lindsay Brillson in the advanced category. But congratulations to all our winners, and thanks to all those who entered the competition, and all those who've entered other competitions as well. And congratulations to our winners who we're meeting today. I'd just like to share a little bit of background on this competition. The first adult amateur competition took place in 2021 and was introduced as an additional way to engage our amateur members, which are a large and important part of our community. And we certainly value all your participation in all the many ways that you are part of the NFA. The competition format changed this year so that we have three distinct levels, which we hadn't done before. It also transitioned from a performance presentation to a masterclass to reflect the NFA's commitment to artistic development and sharing expertise in the flute. So the competition consists of one recorded round, and thanks to the judges this year, who were David, Rosie Sackstein, and Amanda Barrow. And if you're interested in applying for the 2025 competition, the deadline is February 12th. All the information is on our website at nfaonline.org. Now, I'd like to ask David if he'd like to say a few words about his experience as a flutist and his teaching experience. And go ahead, David.
Okay, just a few little technical things here. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. I've been around for a long time. My first exposure to National Flute Association was way back in 1983 when I went to my very first convention. It was like a kid going into a candy store. I am a graduate of SUNY Purchase in New York, and my teacher there was Judith Mendenhall. Before that, I studied with Harold Bennett. And then I went on to do grad work at Indiana University, and my teacher there was Carol Winsense. I also started a doctorate, but back then we started them. Most of us didn't finish them. But I've been performing and teaching, and I'm also a flute maker. I worked for several of the very big companies in the Boston area here, Powell and Brandon, and now with Levitt Flutes. I have a very healthy flute studio of adults and young ones. One of my oldest students is in their 80s, and my youngest new one is 9, and they're all doing great. We're going to have our nice studio recital on November 9th. And I also conduct a flute ensemble. We just named ourselves as Flute Deluxe, Flutes of Light, right? The little play on words. And they're a great group of ladies. And it's a full ensemble. And we are going to have a concert at the very beginning of next month as well. So that's a little bit about me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, David. So now we're going to begin our masterclass. So we'll be presenting 3 videos. One we'll start with Sadie, and then we'll have John, and then Lindsay. After each video, David will conduct the masterclass with that player. So without further ado, Virginia, perhaps you'd like to get us started with the video, the first video. Wonderful. Over to
Okay.
you, David.
Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful. Round of applause.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Oh, no, say really nice. Okay. All right. So let's get down to business here. Okay. So I'm sure you know what this title means, right?
Yes, Serenade to the Stars.
To the stars, right? So we want lots of sparkle, lots of brightness, really, really, really very nice. We try to talk about a few technical things and then a few musical expression things, right? Okay, so as far as musical things go, like expression things, I think the way we're approaching this phrasing, this little motif in the beginning, T da dee da da T da dee da da. I think if we don't point out the eighth note that comes before the other three, the it's written in 12/8 for those who don't know. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that fifth, eighth note, right after that quarter note,
Right.
I think it might be a good idea to kind of smooth the line out a little bit so we get more juxtaposition when we get to the other sections
You're talking
because
about
we
the C sharp?
yes, that's C sharp. We're kind of pointing it out a little bit, right? So if we can just smooth that out so we get more of the dolce feel, right? And dolce means it really has two meanings and we can pick both or choose one.
Okay.
So what do you think dolce means?
Dulce, sweet.
Sweet, and it also means gentle.
Ah, okay.
So we can choose if we want to be sweet or we want to be gentle or if we want both.
Ah.
So now that's your choice. Now, what do you think here?
Maybe sweet. Maybe sweet to start it out and then switch it up when the melody returns again.
Yeah, I think we can approach it a little more. I think the sweetness is very nice here. So I would think if you played this line with a little bit more flow instead of da da dee da 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 dee and da ya da dee da da ya da dee da, so we have more direction through the phrase.
Okay.
Can you try that?
Sure.
Right. So avoid the swell on the B. Watch out.
Okay.
Wah da dee da dee da dee. So it's a little more continuous. You want the airflow to be a little bit because it's all in the same tessitura, right? Which means the range. So I think if you think the line with a little more flow, let it flow by itself up and down without too much help from us with our air.
Okay.
Right, right. You can shape it, but we don't need to help it along too much, right? And then when you get to the F sharp, there's a crescendo through there, right? So we can have the F sharp be a little bit more warm. So the next thing I want to go to is as far as when we're playing in the upper register, the flute naturally wants to be high up there.
Yeah.
Okay? So just watching you play, you have a fantastic embouchure.
Oh, thank you.
No, you're one of those people who's rare, who's in the center.
Yeah.
Most people, even if it's a little bit, 80% of us, that's the percentage that I know of, are either somewhere over to the right or to the left. Most over to the left, right? But some of our openings, the way our muscles work, might be a little bit over. But you're got a nice tube right in the front. So I would think. I would suggest that when you get up into the upper register a little bit, this is a little technical thing you can work on with your teacher as well, because you have a great sound, but to get a little more flexibility so that we get a little more warmth and we can lower the pitch a little bit more in the upper register, we want to probably make a little more oral cavity space and drop the jaw a little bit when we go for the crescendo, because we're using a much greater volume of air, right? And we have more air speed, more volume when we're playing in that octave. So if you can just make a little more space when you go up for the F sharp right here, right? Keep this all open. This stays open, right? Mm-hmm. The tube that delivers the air stays open, and this is going to direct it, right? But when we do that, you want to make sure your core, this part, is engaged, right? So when you get up there, that the airspeed doesn't drop. So you need to increase the core probably a little bit. So can you just try that one more time? When you get up to the F sharp, when you start to make that crescendo, if you can make a little more space in your oral cavity, but make sure the core stays engaged.
Okay.
Oh, gorgeous.
Okay.
Sorry. Do it again. Do it again.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know if anybody else heard it. I felt a little more warm. F sharp is one of the stinky notes. I tell all my students there's 3 stinky notes on the flute in the upper register. E, F sharp, and G sharp. They like to bite back. They're greedy. They like a lot of room. So if we give them the room that they need, right? If we don't have the extra gadgets on our flute to help out, like splitties or Brasa F sharps or split F sharps or all that other stuff, the other notes will love it, right? So now you can continue that same thing throughout these lines when they happen. The next thing I would like us to kind of look at, so we get a little more juxtaposition, are the staccatos.
Ah, yes.
No, that's a little bit of, you've been working on that, huh?
Yeah.
I can tell. It's very good. It's these extras that we all spend a lot of time doing, no matter how good you are. You're always spending time on seeing how can I make them a little bit better, right? So we get a little bit more of that glint or sparkle because we're supposed to be serenading a star or being a star serenading, all right? However you want to approach it. So now your idea of staccato, now staccatos are different based on the composer, the era, the piece, the feeling, the dynamic, all that stuff. But given this case, how are you thinking about these staccatos on those eighth notes?
I'm not thinking of it as super dry. I'm more of trying to get the lower notes out and sort of be distinct, I guess. And so that's what I've been working on, and that's hard, moving quickly in the low register.
Good. No, I like that. I like the fact that you said you didn't want them dry. And the other word we use for it is seco. They need a little bit of that glint, as Mr. Moyes say, and this is my third-hand imitation of Marcel Moyes. He would say, like little gold nails in the sky. Like little gold nails in the sky. So you'd say the head of the nail, when the sun hits it, or maybe the starlight hits it, it glints a little bit.
Yeah.
So we can go back to, for a little exercise, when we first started playing, we didn't articulate, right? We did ho, 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 like that. So at certain speeds, when we want to get a staccato, we can actually use that to help with the staccato, because the first thing that has to happen, right? First, we need air to make the note. So we don't want the tongue to actually make the note. We need the air first, and the tongue will give it the definition, correct? Yes. Okay, so for the lowest register, so we want to think about the air direction. Like the flute is an instrument of angles, where we angle the air. So that's when we have to have some more of this technique involved. We don't want to resort to embouchure gymnastics, but we do need to angle the air where it needs to go. So where are you thinking your air angle is for those lowest notes?
Straight down.
Okay, now I would kind of like modify that just a tiny bit and not think straight down.
Okay.
I like to think of, and I know why you're saying that, and that's not totally off. I like to think of when I'm playing in the lowest register, like the instrument is made up of, the head joint is the tube, the embouchure plate, and the riser or chimney or wall that separates the embouchure plate from the tube. I like to think of where am I putting the air in relation to that. So if you think of maybe aiming your air for the lowest notes towards the bottom of the riser, so that's kind of a little bit further forward, and if our head's too far down, if we're not, we're going to aim the air too far down and the note might not speak.
Okay.
I like to think of it being a little bit angled down, as you say, but more forward towards that riser. Just try, sorry, sustaining an E. Good. So now the next thing I want you to try is just go back to when you were a very young child playing and go whoo, just like this. Sorry. Right? Right. So try to do it without moving the rest of you. Just let it be internal when you do it. Right? Right. Now add the tongue with that. Yeah. Make sure the embouchures are ready, positioned when you go to do it. Good. Good. So that's what you want to try and think about when you're playing those notes. Try and produce the sound of the note without the tongue, right? Just use that air. Do it very slowly so you can get the positioning. And then you want to add your tongue. You can play the whole passage like that. You don't have to do it now, but this is something that you can talk over with your teacher, because I'm sure whoever your teacher is knows about it, right?
Yes,
And something to add into your arsenal of practice things, right?
Sounds great.
And that's what's going to help those notes be equal in dynamic and quality to the notes above that. So obviously when we get a little bit higher, we're going to change that air position, right? Okay, so that's a little bit about those staccatos, so they get a little bit more bounce and not be secco as you don't want, and that will help there. Okay, the next thing, so the next thing kind of I wanted to go towards is that upper register again. So again, this has to be involved when we go up there. So this is always active when we're playing, and it wants to match what the fingers are doing. So there's this technique and there's this technique. Like violinists have this technique and then they have this technique, right? Or any string player, right? So when you're getting towards the upper register, and this is why we do this in our tone exercises, you want to think of dropping your jaw a little bit, right? A little bit, like especially for the A's. Now, can you play this section here? I know we're running out of time. Let's go to where you have the poco più animato at 31.
Okay.
All right, so go back to that lovely F sharp you did before, right?
Okay.
And try that section up to measure 34 rather.
Okay.
Yeah, very good. Now can we do it a little bit slower so we can get the feeling of that? We want to pull the pitch down just a little bit so you can get the feeling of it. Don't go slack, right? So make sure your corners are still firm, right? These corners. Go a little bit slower. Take it about 4 times slower than you just played it. Okay, yeah, because you're getting it, so you're catching on to it pretty quickly. So I would kind of go over as few of those things so that your upper register gets a little more of this warmth, feeling like the heat from a star. If we got close to a star, we'd probably burn up, right? But so that you can get that feeling of more warmth up there. And you can make it a game, play it very slowly and add those things so that when you compress the tempo a little bit, those things kind of stick.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Oh, you beautiful player.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. And thank you, Sadie. That was very incredibly interesting and wonderful. So now we're going to move on to the intermediate category with John Nguyen.
Okay, John. Mr. Smooth. Really smooth. Beautiful tone, right? Gorgeous. All right. So, you obviously very well trained. I love your hand position, fingers nice and close to the keys. Great setup here. All these things are really lovely and really, really nicely in place. So, where do you think I want to go with you?
Maybe technique.
Well, no. Your technique is good. All right. That's something you details, your musical details, because a lot of other things are already there. I mean, that stuff you practice on your own. It's more of these musical things. So this etude, when I was younger, etudes, I was always a little bit, like being a bad kid. I didn't want to do my etudes, but now I love them because they're so good, right? So all my students, I'm like, do your etudes. And I have a couple of adult students who are like religious with them. And so they do stuff that I've not done before. So I have to learn them too, right? So they're so good for us. They feed everything else. So in this one, there are quite a few details that Köhler put in this etude, right? And the etudes always have several points of that the composer is focusing on, so that we can utilize them in this small little piece and then add them later if there's another piece similar to it. So what are some of the details? First of all, it's marked allegretto, but then he gives us a directive at the bottom. What is that? Do you have marziale?
No, I don't.
You don't. Okay, my edition have marziale. So and I guess in my book the editor said, right. So marziale is the word from march. So this is really a little march, right?
Okay.
So you do have the staccatos and the accents, correct?
Yes.
All right. So that's what we want to go for a little bit more, okay? In what you're playing. A little bit more of the staccato, a little bit more of the accent, right? So again, we get this juxtaposition between the slurred notes and the staccato notes, and then the other slurred notes over the beat, right? So accents, again, they're not all created equal like staccato. Depends on the style, the composer, all these other things. When we have an accent, I like to think of a flavor thing, right? Is it very pronounced? Like, is it lemon? Is it pepperoncino? What is it here, right? So in this piece, the accent is saying what to you? What kind of flavor is it? Is it a heavy accent, or is it a little lighter? What do you think?
I think it's a little lighter.
Okay.
A little bit more, just light flavor into it.
Okay. All right. So that's okay. So we're allowed to do that. So, but if we do that, we still want to taste it. We want to taste it with our ears. All right. So I'm not getting enough of your flavor here. So I want you to kind of go for these accents a little bit more, and your staccatos. The staccatos here, given this style, mean what to you?
Spacing.
Say that again?
There's gotta be space between the notes.
Yeah. All right. So are they, as Sadie had, and she didn't think her accents were secco or dry. Are they dry accents, or are they more, like you said, separation? They bounced. What do you think? Given it's a march.
I want it to be more. I think it should be more dry, given it's a march. It has to be a little bit more rhythmic.
Okay, I'll buy that. Okay, now we want you to try and put these into place a little bit more. So we get a little bit more of this military kind of squareness to this one, right? You're being really Joe Cool with it, right? Which is great, and you want to save that. But can we get just a little bit more, right? So it's a little bit more square. Okay, now right there. Now, you're playing the F sharp and the E as though they have tenutos on them. What is on those notes?
Staccato.
Yeah. I think you want to maintain your staccato there because they're a little bit, they're beautifully played, but I think a little out of context given this etude, right? Right? Those notes. The B is our all-purpose note, but then the notes around it, he gave us a directive, real specific there. Now, I liked your staccatos on the eighth notes better this time. So let's go back to the beginning, and as you said, let's make that first eighth note D, our quarter note, sorry. This is in cut time for those who don't have the music, and kind of make that a little bit more rhythmic. So you want to hear tick, 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 ta. So it's a little bit more square so we can march to it. Go ahead. No, I'm going to be picky with you because you're that good. Please play that F sharp as though it's a little bit shorter. Bum, bum, bee, dum. Yep, you're that good. Yes. Now it's saying there's some detail. I can taste with my ears your flavors. What do you think?
Yeah, I can hear it.
It's a little bit different, right? So sometimes, and I like to quote some of my teachers, my teacher who I love to pieces, Judith Mendenhall, said, sometimes we have to do what we think is too much for it to come across because it's happening here and it feels like a lot. But in order for it to really make sense and for it to be projected to the audience, we have to do a little bit more, okay? And I really like that, okay? Now, with the pickup, now you can go to Joe Cool again. Da-dee-da-da-da-dum. So we get a little bit more distinction between what's going on. So can you take that pickup starting on the second line there, play this, its phrase repeats again before we get to the next section, which we will talk about, and do what you just did, okay? Now I'm going to stop you there. Okay, so now we have a completely different feel to the piece here, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so now what did the composer give us on those strong beats through here on beats, quarter note beats,
Accents.
3 and 4? What did he give us?
Accents.
Yes. Now, these are going to be executed a little bit differently from the other ones, right? Because they're within a slur, right? So, in order for these to come out and be flavorful, what are we going to do to make those?
Increase the air pressure.
Oh, yes. So when you do that, something technically has to happen here, right? What has to happen here? So the note doesn't go.
Cavity. Oh yeah, larger air cavity to accommodate both of those.
Yes, you know. Okay, very good. So we need a little bit more space because if we add the air, right, to that and we don't accommodate, that note's going to shoot up a little bit too high. So that's this technique being involved there. Okay, so now I would like for you to play this passage a little bit under tempo so that you can get that feeling, all right? Right? Can you do that? Take the pickup into it. and try that. Little under tempo. Keep going, keep going. Do it again. All right, then you have staccatos on those two, on the B's as well, right?
Oh, my edition doesn't have it. But
They don't. All right. So I think it probably would be good. You can edit this, you too. You can put John's name on this and say, I'm going to make. I think just because the other ones were staccato, we should make these staccato. It's just a consistency thing. What do you think?
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So now that we've established this, do you have on that line there the pickup into the section we just played? Is there a directive there from the composer? Do you have anything written there?
No, I don't.
All right. So in this edition, it's Mark Dolce. I don't know why. I wouldn't think.
Too. Yeah.
You do. All right. So now we get to choose sweet or gentle or both.
I liked it. I chose sweets where I wanted to be sweet.
Okay. Yeah. So we can do sweet. I would think it would be personally a little bit of both. So we can be a little bit more gentle here because we were marching. So we can, sweeten it up and make it a little bit more gentle. So our accents, right, are produced, but we don't want them to overpower the line of sweet and gentle, right?
Okay.
What do you think? Now, go back to your tempo and add those things to it, right? Try it. Right, nice. Now I can taste it. Very good. All right. So just now your lower, your large intervals are really, really very nicely done. Okay. So, but we still have these accents here, right? So we don't want them to overtake this next section, those lower notes. So why don't you go ahead and play that section, and then we're going to go back and put some more things together. Go ahead. Really good. All right, so that's now we're getting somewhere with these little details through here, right? Okay, so the next section, what's happening here musically?
They're having large intervals, and it's building up to this high C and then the high D.
Right. Okay. So we have two voices here, right? It's like you're going to be two different players, right? In this section.
Yeah.
Dee da da ba bum, dee da dum, dee da da dum, ya da dum, right? So you want the audience to kind of feel that a little bit, right? It's like you're one person over here, and then you have the other one answering over here. One's making the statement, and the other one's answering that statement. Maybe a little bit defiant, right? One's asking the question, the other one, the little low voice, is being a little defiant. All right, so we can kind of make that distinction there so the audience comes along with the game. Want to try that? Okay, nice. All right, so I'm going to make a little suggestion here. I really like that. I can feel that. Just to smooth it out a little bit, let's make the one who's being a little bit defiant. Let's smooth out the low Ds a little bit with the vibrato, because vibrato in the lowest register, we kind of have to kind of mitigate some of the amplitude. Otherwise, it starts to bounce a little bit too much. So I think in this case, we might want to streamline it a little bit, right? Sorry. Right. And so, right. Not too much, right? Right? Try that. I like the one asking the question. All right? Try that. Nice. Now you got some more details you got to think about through here, right? What did you think of that?
I liked it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
feel
think
like
so too.
maybe emphasize the diminuendo a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. Okay, so now let's go, since we have a little bit more time here, um, to the very end here, okay? Let's see. Dee, dee, da, 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 dum. All right, so I think you might have like from the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4. Why don't we start there? Dee, dee, da, 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 dum, dee, da, 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 dum. No, go back a little bit further, a little bit further. 1, 2, 3, 4 lines from the bottom, a little bit further, 4, 5, starting on that last one. Dee, dee, da, 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 dum, dee, da, 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 dum, right? Good. Okay. So my lovely, John. My suggestion here is that do you have staccatos on those quarter notes through there?
No.
You don't. All right. In my edition, I do. I would think again to be consistent to just give those notes not quite so much tenuto, dim ba da 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 dum, a little space on them, and I think that's why this edition does have the dots there. Okay, just to give them a little bit more space so it's not too melded. Try it again. Okay, great. Lovely. I think that works. Now, at the very end, where we have the repeated notes and then we got to stop, I would say, now, when we have tied notes, duple tied notes, now in different styles, we always approach them a little bit different. Classical, we play them a little bit more evenly. Baroque, we'll play a little bit shorter on the second note generally. Here, in order to give it a little bit more definition, I think we can kind of cross a little bit because it is classical, all right? So it's a little bit more enunciated, so we don't hear blah 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 tia tia tia. So put a little lift, just a little bit on the second of the slurred notes. Try that. Right. And go back to your march at the very end. You want to be a little bit more, right? A little bit more muscle. A little bit more muscle at the end. And the fermata, not too long, right? Deep bum, 1, 2, off, right? Go ahead. Good. All right. Now I think we got a complete package. I like the flavor of that. All right. Good job, John.
Thank you so much, David and John. Wonderful. Really fantastic. So now we're going to our third video, a masterclass with Lindsay Brillson, the advanced category.
Brava, brava, brava. Wow. Great job, Lindsay. Wow.
Thank you so much.
Really lovely. You like this piece, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, okay. All right, so now, beautiful, lots of beautiful things in here. This French romantic, a lot of stuff in here to digest, right? Okay, and this is that era where a lot of things we can kind of be let the piece tell us what it wants, and we can be a little more individual with some styles. We're kind of restrained a little bit if we're going to be true, and sometimes with the French romantic it can take a little bit more, right? Okay, so now the edition, are you using it from that French edition, the Louis Moïse book?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Now, now you might have heard this. Now, Mr. Moïse, this one, Louis, we have to take some of his stuff with a grain of salt, okay? And we have to it's always good to probably find the original or the Urtext edition for some of these. I have it too, right? Because when I found the last minute, I think I do have an original, but it would take me too long to find it, right? Like now. But, okay, so we can take some of his stuff and say like it, but some of the stuff we can kind of set aside, okay? Okay, so this first movement, what is your thought behind approaching it here?
What is my thought? Sort of mysterious, a little bit. I don't know.
Okay, I'm not trying
That
to
doesn't
put
come
you
on
on the
too strong
spot.
right away. Yeah.
Okay, right. I don't want to put you on the spot by going. I just
Yeah.
want to kind of tap in so we can kind of synchronize some things here. And
Sure.
for you guys, if you didn't notice, and Lindsay said it's okay, she has a little baby bump there going. So she's going to say her air is a little bit compromised. So we're going to take that in consideration, right? Okay, so I think he says do est simple, right? And that means, in French, in English, what does that mean?
I'm going to go with simple.
Yeah. Simple and sweet or gentle, right?
yes.
So we don't have to overdo it, right? The French baguette with just the cheese, nothing else really, kind of. We don't, the French stuff, we don't want to overdo it. We want to save that for later. Okay, so here, I think if you think of this as a song, if we sang it and we wanted to put words to it, enunciate the words a little bit more, the syllables a little bit more, because sometimes what's coming across is a little bit melded. So sometimes, maybe the original does not have the tenutos on those A's, but I think Louis Moïse wanted to make sure that they were elongated. But sometimes when we see them, we don't clearly enunciate them. So maybe in a live hall, they might sound like a half note or tied notes, right?
Yeah.
So we want to do that. And same thing with the 16th notes. I think we want to speak them so they're a little bit more syllabic, right?
Sure.
You kind of, right, a little bit too, right? And so we were saying, I am here to, you want to speak them? Okay, we're going to go back. So the beginning, right? Think, we can put a little lift on the dot of the quarter, right? But we don't want to kind of swell too much, right? So let's see if we can simplify this a little bit more. Think a little bit more diction when we're singing these words so that we can clearly hear what the words are if they were there. So why don't this first phrase repeats itself twice, right? So let's just hear you do that with what we just said.
Sure.
Okay, good. All right, so now we don't want to get too caught up in it. Now, sometimes we can get a little too mired in it, and now we want to release it a little bit more so the phrase keeps its direction.
Sure.
Where is it going? It's always going towards those A's. The other notes are just decorating those A's, right? So feel like you're going to that last A half note, right? Tee da team tom team. So you can enunciate without getting too stuck on them, right? Right? So you get a little bit more direction to them. Speak them. Don't get stuck on them. Go ahead.
Okay.
Don't get caught on your quarters. Where's it going? All right, Lindsay, you like to be expressive and I love it, but it's sometimes getting a little bit in the way.
Okay.
I'm just going, yeah, because you're that good. All right. So it's because we want to keep the simple part here. All right. Because we get so don't get stuck on those quarters. Do it one more time. Make sure that don't think you want to play with the metronome a little bit here. Right. So think like your beats don't change, because then we're kind of adjusting the tempo without rubato. We're not giving back. If we do rubato, we got to give it back, right? So what I want you to think of is keeping this a little bit more steady as far as your pacing goes, because the accompaniment dictates that too. It's a little bit kind of funky accompaniment. So we don't want the accompaniment to get a little bit jostled by us getting stuck on those quarters.
And by stuck on them, you just mean taking a little too much time, yeah?
Yeah, I mean when I suggested the enunciation of them, it you really did. So that's good. Now we can take a little bit back and simplify. Try that. Good. All right, good. Yeah, and be sure that the 16ths are we hear those a little bit more ta-ta, like they're words, all right? So you speak them. Okay, good. Now I love that crescendo at the end of that A. That was really lovely. Now, continue on a little bit here, because we have something to say about this next phrase at 7.
Cool.
Okay, very nice. So it's a little bit different why do you put that retard there at the end before 11?
Just feels right to me.
You
don't like it?
It's not that I don't like it. I think it's a little much, right? I think it kind of, we want to keep this flow, because sometimes if we do that, it doesn't match what the accompaniment needs to do, right? So that's why we need to do a little score study to find out where things going, right? Dee da dee da da dee da da dee da. We want to let it keep moving. We don't want again over sauce this baguette with cheese. There's nothing on it, right? So I would think probably just a suggestion, and in the end you can do whatever you like, right? Because when we lose a little bit of that syncopation, ti-da-ti-ta, ti-ta-ti-ta, it gets stuck, and we lose that syncopation, that nice hold over the bar. Can you try that in that measure 10? Or try 9.
Sure.
Yes! Now it has a nice flow to it. What do you think?
I think it is a valid choice.
Okay, she's being a diplomat. Good. All right. Very good. All right. So the other thing, I think we get a little stuck on these tenutos too. Maybe a little bit more rather than... as though they were words. Ti-ta-ti. That's a tenuto, but not ti-da-di. Then we kind of feel like we're not really enunciating. Just try that a little bit with everything else. All right. Okay, good. Good for being a good doobie for trying that. I think it's really good. I like it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's an option for you. Okay. All right, so now looking ahead a little bit, right? Yeah, da 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 dee da dee da. Now, I don't know if those crescendo decrescendos on the trills were actually original or if they're Louis.
Mm.
Because we want to kind of avoid, sometimes when we get to trills, our tendency is to let them, you know, get these expansions through them or these swells through them that we really don't want. And I think it might be a little bit nicer to keep this a little leaner, so that the keeps a little more elegance through here. So can we avoid too much of that? And I would check again to see if they were in the original, but just to give it a little bit more elegance here, right? So I have
Yeah.
a little more savoir faire. Okay.
Okay, let's try it.
Okay, I kind of like that. Right? You can do a
Yeah.
little bit, but I think it was a little bit too much. So like I said, I
Yeah.
would check to see. It gives it a little more streamlined elegance with emotion here, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't stop in the middle. Okay, so I like your approach to the 16th notes, but I would think give them a little bit more definition on those staccatos, all right? So they tiptoe a little bit. Oh, I love that. I did. Let's do it again. And keep going and finish the phrase. All right, so that's the end of that section. So you can give a little bit of a ceder there, right? Because it's ending that little section, right? And then we're going to go back and say a little bit more. Okay, now to get away from this section, just to your scherzo is beautifully done, right? Okay. I would say just here in closing, I would make a little bit more of a big deal of this sforzando into the next section, so it gives a little bit more texture, right? You were a little subtle with it,
Okay.
right? Right, ta-ya, taka-taka-tum, right? A little bit of, as my good friend Nina Asimakopoulos would say, who teaches at West Virginia University, a little belly kick on the sforzando. Now the baby can help you.
I was gonna say I've been getting a lot of that recently. Well, there's no more.
Okay, that's great though. Lovely. I think that helps add a little bit more of this texture and a little bit more lightness and a little bit more playful, jocular, joyeux feel to it.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, I know we're run out of time. And I think you did a beautiful job. Keep it up.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Lindsay and David. That was fantastic. So we have a couple of minutes for questions. If anyone wants to post anything in the chat or raise a hand and ask a question, and Virginia will take care of the questions. Anything anyone wants to bring up?
I don't bite. I'm in the computer, so I won't bite you.
Okay. Well, if there's no questions, I think we're just going to say thank you so much. Oh, here's a question. Oh, for David or anyone, any of the winners that you wanted to ask a question for, go ahead. Okay, no. Oh, here you go.
Lynn asked, what advice would you give to college students that are giving master classes for the first time? Regional etude, solos, etc.
Wow, that's a great question. Okay. If you're giving a master class, all right, so don't overthink what you're going to do. You want to be prepared, but don't over prepare so you get stuck in what you want to deliver. You want to keep the flexibility of what's going to happen, right? Um, and do prepare what you want to do, but give yourself some room to allow for each player to deliver what they're going to deliver, so you can work with them individually as an individual and not have a script already prepared. That sometimes will you lose some of your flexibility with what's going on. Master classes are tricky because you're kind of, flying out there, just right away. You got to kind of start thinking on your feet. You know your styles, know how you want to speak about what you want to say. Okay, when the opportunity presents itself, given what's going on. All right, there's a lot of stuff going on. The more you do, the more you'll figure out your rhythm in a master class. Everybody has a style with what they do.
Okay, and then Jennifer asked, how long have all the players been playing?
Oh, they can answer themselves. I don't know how long they've been playing, so answer yourself.
I'll go first. I've been playing since I was 12 years old, so that was about 22 years ago. But I took a 10-year break, so minus 10 years.
I can go next. I was playing for about 8 years. I started when I was in high school, and I studied computer science instead, and I tried my best to keep up with playing, and I just play for fun now.
Um, I started playing in fifth grade. I think that's like 10, 11. I don't know what age these things are anymore. Played through college. I majored in English and got a certificate in music performance, and then kind of like Sadie took like a 13-year break, and then got back into it and have been honestly, actually, I can't do math, but it's been like 5, 6 years of playing again.
Okay. And it looks like our other question Sadie already answered in the chat. Just her audio settings. She said that she was using an external mic as well as original sound for musicians. Okay, is that everybody's questions? If so, I will go ahead and close us out. Okay. Well, thank you to David Houston and to Jennifer Clark for hosting us, and thank you everyone who attended today's online event. A recording of this event will be published on the NFA YouTube channel later this week. Our next online event will be Demystifying Modern Repertoire with Ann Maker, and that's going to be on October 20th, so please join us. To learn more about us, visit our website at nfaonline.org or follow us at NFA Flute on social media. Thank you again.